Hi, Deirdre. Thank you very much for coming to talk to me today. We're going to continue on with the little series of videos for International Women's Day. So, Deirdre Murray works in SRC in the Southern Regional College as a specialist lecturer. And Deirdre's kind of main topic is chemistry, but she works across all fields of science in her job. So, thank you very much for coming along, Deirdre. Can I just ask you then, how did you get started working in science, and kind of what was your pathway through to working in SRC?
So I suppose back when I was in school, and I suppose I was unusual. I went to maybe a bit of background here. I went to an all girls school, and I'm from Dublin, so I would have done my intercert and leaving cert. But when I did my intercert, there would have been 90 of us who would have gone on to do our leaving cert, and of that, I was there's two of us who were interested in science. Now, but thankfully, I was with a bit of a pushing, the two of us were really interested, and the school, out of the kindness of their hearts, ran a chemistry class
Oh, wow.
for the two of us. Now, it obviously wasn't the full time that you would have normally had, but two of us in a class who were obviously wanting to do this, made it easy in that we had half the allocated time, but we were given the chance, and without being given that chance, I wouldn't have had the route
Yeah.
I had.
Uh-huh.
Most of the girls wanted to do, I suppose, more female based careers, but we were given that chance, the two of us, to do it. Now, the other girl actually went into accountancy and she now is an accountant. But I had that chance, loved doing it. I think maybe because there was only the two of us, practicals and all were, we had to set them up, we had to do them. So it was much more hands on than it would normally have been probably in a classroom.
More effective.
Um, Yeah. So then I went on and did a general science degree actually in UCD, doing chemistry, computing science, maths, and physics. But in the last 2 years, then specializing in chemistry. Following on from that, I basically wasn't too sure what I wanted to do, but I did know I loved chemistry. That was the bit I did know. I applied for a few jobs in industry, didn't get them, but probably wasn't even wholeheartedly wanting them either at the same rate.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't quite sure. I really did want to work in a lab and get into that area. So everybody around me was thinking, or there was quite a few people around thinking doing PhDs. My background probably didn't lend itself to doing a PhD in that neither of both my parents left school after primary school. I was the eldest. And while I have to say they were unbelievably encouraging, they kind of looked at me and went, "What do you want to do? Do you not need to get a job here at this stage?" But having said that, they backed me the whole way. Like they did find it a bit unusual, but they didn't go, "You're not doing this." So I then kind of thought, "Oh well, I've been in Dublin. Let's go somewhere else. If we're going to do this, let's go somewhere else." And I didn't go very far. I only went to Belfast, but I'd lived at home the whole way through my degree. So I wanted basically to get away and have the student experience. I'd worked as well while doing it. So I did a PhD in organic chemistry in Queen's. I applied to Queen's, obviously, do the interview, got through it all. I applied to other universities as well in Scotland. I actually did get places on them as well, but after the atmosphere in Queen's attracted me to when I went there. I just liked everybody who would be working in the lab with me. We had lunch. It was just a nice day. I suppose while doing the PhD, loved it, and then went, oh no, but I don't really want to work in a lab. So I love sitting down after doing the lab work and analysing it all. But doing the lab work really wasn't my thing. So I would happily have spent hours trying to work out what went wrong or trying to plan what I was going to do. But the actual act of doing it, I kind of could have left behind. If somebody else could have done the work and said, you do the analysis.
Yeah.
So I then had to start thinking, okay, what jobs can you do doing analysis, but not actually. So areas I looked at, there are actually jobs in scientific companies doing analytical work, but not doing the analysis. You're just working on the results. I'd looked at that. I'd looked at going into the legal aspect of science as well. And I was applying for jobs in different areas, and a job came up in scientific publishing in Germany, which I applied for. Obviously, did the interview, got the job. So then moved to Stuttgart, Germany for 4 years, and worked in scientific and particularly chemistry publishing for Georg Thieme Verlag, which is a large scientific publishing company, editing the articles prior to publication, meeting prospective authors, etc., and all of that. So that was, I suppose, living there was brilliant. You're in the middle of Europe. You could do whatever you liked every weekend because you just hopped on a train and went wherever you wanted to go to. And it was a fantastic lifestyle for 4 years, but there's only so much you can take. Well, stability is nice as well. Freedom is good. Stability is good. So after that, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great experience meeting people from different nationalities who I was working with as well. Moved back to Northern Ireland, got married, because my husband was always living here when I was, well, we weren't married when I was away, but I moved back here then. And then I started doing a range of part-time work, tutoring, still doing some part-time editing, and also working for OCR, marking exam papers, until my son went to primary school. And then when he started, I suppose, more structured education, then I applied for the job in SRC, started off as a lecturer. Then with about 2 years, got a full-time post. And then just under 2 years ago, so September 2021, I applied for the specialist lecturer post, which I now have in SRC, which is a quarter of my time teaching. So I still get to teach, which I do love. I love interacting. It's the interaction with the students that I like. But then also working, so in my lecturing role, I'd worked alongside industry, developing higher level apprenticeships in SRC. And then this was taking it to looking at other courses that can be developed with industry, developing courses, developing new curriculum. And I suppose last year, one of the interesting ones I did, I knew nothing about this before I started, but I did some research work with, in conjunction with DFE, on the brewing and distilling industry in Northern Ireland, and the training needs that they would have. Now, there's obviously some scientific basis to it, but I suppose over time, I've moved from, I was a pure chemist into other areas. There's microbiology and all in what I was looking at, and how they, cleanliness and all of that. And even into the business side, which I ended up spending a lot of time working on last year, was how could they develop their businesses. So from, I suppose, wanting to do chemistry, I've come quite a distance. It's still there, but it has developed over the years into other job roles as things have gone on.
Yeah, and it's amazing that for a young girl who has an idea of something that, or even just a topic that you like, without kind of being able to map out the entire career pathway of it, you still really need the schools and the people around you to kind of give you that opportunity and to kind of help support you to go through that. And it's amazing that you were able to get that, and then you've been able to kind of develop this wide and varied career the whole way through. So your job now in SRC then, as a specialist lecturer, you mentioned doing some teaching work and some kind of business related work as well. Generally, kind of what is the job role of a specialist lecturer then?
So I suppose it is what is deemed needed by the Department for the Economy. So it's led by the economy, and currently it's probably been mainly led by the 10x strategy. So the 10x strategy for Northern Ireland is basically how Northern Ireland can develop its economy to improve employment and improve skills over the next, well, probably 8 years now, because it was 2 years ago this was first published. So there are aspects of that, such as empowering science, biotechnology, the developments in terms of biotechnology, diagnostics. Again, that would be obviously outside my comfort zone, but I'll have to, the opportunity is to learn more. Connected health, which is going to be quite important as we go on. So basically, my job is to look at the areas in terms of the 10x strategy and how we can assist industry in terms of either training, so we can develop training programs, or look at what's already out there and map other training from other countries across into Northern Ireland. And we don't need to redo it if it pre-exists. As another area, I suppose, which is probably closer and easier probably to see, is I'm working at the minute is developed a pharmacy in Northern Ireland. So pharmacy courses for those working in pharmacists as well. Do we want to become pharmacists? So that would probably be more I suppose tangible at the minute. But within, I suppose, pharmacy roles in Northern Ireland, there will be a huge development piece again over the next 10 years, in that pharmacists won't get, and even now you see it, pharmacists don't just dispense medicines. There's a large set of aligned skills to that, such as monitoring, diabetes monitoring, blood pressure monitoring, and even bringing, which will happen again in GB, it exists not much more so than here, is bringing pharmacists into doctor surgeries and
Mhm.
having pharmacists then provide some of those roles. So how do we, as Northern Ireland, basically as the 6 colleges, but also then how, if we help the pharmacists develop their businesses, the pharmacists develop the skills, how we meet all this need that
Mhm.
is coming our way in the future.
So it's really, it's almost like the best of both worlds for you, Deirdre. There's lots of interaction with students. There's lots of helping them develop their experiments and helping them do the analysis and, you know, guiding them through that, as well as being able to do lots of kind of more practical research, lots of policy work, kind of being on the ground and helping to drive the future forward for Northern Ireland as well. So it's a great job to have, and it's kind of really exciting and varied and stuff, which suits well if you like to do something a little bit different all the time.
Yes, no, because I've never done anything the same for very long. So yes, the variety of it is great. No. But also meeting the people. So you have to go, you can't just sit and just research. So it's nice, the aspect of, I'm obviously in contact with the students, but then you're also out meeting employers and the others involved in the area. So there's lots of chat and even just finding out things. I'm constantly learning.
Yeah.
It's constantly expanding.
Yeah.
My knowledge base.
Perfect
So
job.
that's really great.
And so just to finish then, what advice would you give, or what would you say to someone who was considering working a career in science, and particularly younger women who are coming through and considering science careers?
So but basically, don't give up. Keep pushing it, because if I hadn't pushed that I wanted to do, if the two of us hadn't pushed that we wanted to do this, now it was known we were committed. It wasn't, so we had shown that we did have an interest. Our grades obviously reflect we had the ability, or nobody would have given us that chance. But if you put in the effort to show that you are committed to following a particular route, you'll be surprised at who will come and support you along the way. Also, even if the route doesn't quite work out, so if you do see yourself and you would like to work in a particular area, but that path is not currently open to you, don't disregard it. Um, Go back and find an alternative way. There's not one way to everything. You can go off on a pathway which can then bring you back in again into the route that you require. And maybe, and this, even if it's not the particular area of science you're interested in, you may discover that actually that area is of interest to you. And it may send you down another path. So don't be disheartened that just because the particular path you want to do isn't available currently. Stick with obviously the general theme, but try and find aligned areas and be open to what is actually available, and the help and progression and everything else that can come from that.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Deirdre. So we'll let you get off. I know you're very busy, and have a lovely International Women's Day next week.
Thank you very much, Karen. Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye-bye.